Hello, Keller Williams Denton. This is Ann, and I'm your broker. And it is Mega Camp Monday and apparently also Monsoon Monday. And I had planned my travel so that I would be on a live broker chat today with you to talk about representing your clients when they're building a new construction home. But with the flooding and the roads and the travel and the flight delays and I have no idea where I'll be at 1:00 p.m. So I decided best to record it and send it so that no matter where I am, you guys can have a great conversation about new construction. So I look forward to reviewing this with you. And I want you to know that this is one of the most important things I think you can talk about. Very misunderstood. Sometimes even we as real estate agents believe that the builder builds exactly the same home, whether we're present or not. And so it makes it hard to be of value in the process. Personally, after my years of experience and the learnings that I've had, I know that isn't true. I know how valuable a real estate agent on your team can be in the build process. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get us going here. Let's turn on a slideshow from the beginning. All right. So they do need you on a new home too. If you want something more expensive, I can show you this again tomorrow. I love that because it feels like that's how new construction has been. Now, in the last few weeks, of course, we've seen actually some incentives come back from builders. Some builders are hanging tight without paying real estate commission at a very high level, and others are jumping back into the real estate agent game. So our goal is to make sure that we take care of the people in our sphere, the people who decide to know, like, and trust us as real estate professionals. We want to be sure we can provide them value. All right. So I love this. This is no longer happens in 14 weeks around here. So the first thing to know is when they give you an estimated closing date on new construction, even if it's almost all the way done, I promise you it's an estimate. I promise you it's an estimate. They continue to struggle with supply chain issues, and it's very hard to get a guarantee. And so we'll talk a little bit about, do they guarantee? And if your client is hurt by their delays, what happens or what can happen? But this first slide is just how the order of events in new construction. So there's first site prep and then the foundation. So they're doing the footers and all of the rebar and concrete and getting that foundation set, the mechanics and the interior, HVAC, electrical wiring, plumbing, flooring and paint. After the drywall's installed, flooring and paint, then fixtures, lighting and landscaping, and then your final walkthrough. So this is very brief, not in detail, but a great thing for you to know so that you know in general how things are going to proceed forward and where those walkthroughs will come and what are you looking for when you go through a walkthrough, right? What are we looking at? What are we looking for? Certainly you are not prepared to examine electrical wiring, right? We're not a condition expert. And it's also good to know about how long these things traditionally took so that you can tell along the way if they are getting way far behind. It should not be just shocking to you if you're staying on top of the process. And then just knowing that new construction is at a very interesting point. So this article on the left is about that Wildflower Ranch, which is out kind of close to 114 and 35W, 3,000 homes. They're having the same troubles, right? They've been trying to get even a trailer. I happen to know Toll Brothers has been trying to get a trailer out there and they've had trouble with their trailer arriving. But look at the census data about new construction. Very, very interesting. Permits, starts, and then completions. And this is the struggle that we continue to have, is that the completions are low. The completions are nowhere near where we traditionally used to be on an annual basis. And so we just keep getting further and further behind in supply of homes. When people ask me, are we in a bubble? That's what I always say. I always say, I don't believe so in North Texas. I believe if there's some sort of big event, a very disruptive event, we could be, but for the most part, demand is far ahead of supply still in North Texas. And there's nothing in these numbers of new construction permits, new construction starts, and certainly nothing in new construction completions that would make me believe that we're catching up. I don't see that. And then looking at just a nationwide view, the construction in Collin and Denton County, we're two of the most expensive counties in the country. And I think we believe that to be true now. It was not true at all in our past, but now they're building expensive homes in Collin and Denton County for sure. And then really interesting, do it yourself, which is what they're doing. So don't misunderstand. When they walk into a model home without you, they are doing a do it yourself. So are you showing your professionalism to your sphere? Are you posting, talking, newslettering, video texting? Are you showing that you know about new construction, that you work in new construction? Because otherwise they're just going to do it themselves. And the issues they can have are many when they are doing it themselves. All right. Look at that. Buying a new construction home, protect yourself from canceled contracts. So this is the Better Business Bureau posting this. One of the most important things you can know right now about representing someone on new construction is, number one, look for escalation clauses. If they have to pay more for roofing materials or for plumbing or for air conditioning materials, there's every chance the price of the home will go up before closing. And then also canceled contracts. Builders are canceling the contract and selling it to someone else for $80,000 more. And it's happening over and over and over again. And so you need to be aware and alert and learn how to protect your people. You will call me and you will say, they can't do that. We're under contract. And guess what? They're doing it. And they're selling it to someone else before your little buyer can even decide what to do. So when you are talking to your buyer about new construction, you want to be able to say, right, let's talk about price, let's talk about timing, let's slow down and specifically read the contract, which will be all in favor of the builder. And they can either sign it and buy new or forget it, right? This idea that buyers of new construction have a lot of rights is not true in Texas. For me, this is one of the biggest consumer protection issues that we have. Sticker shock, and this is from the Texas A&M Real Estate Research Center, and it's an article from March about escalation clauses, because to be fair, they've all had to pay more for their supplies and pay shipping costs that are higher. And so almost all builder contracts now include an escalation clause. And the most important thing that you as a realtor can suggest that your buyer do, or that you can help them do, is to look for a limit to that escalation clause. It usually would just read as a limit of any price increases of up to blank percent, of up to 10%, of up to 3%, right? So what number is there, or is there no number? So they can just raise the price dependent on what, supposedly dependent on what they pay for construction materials. Hard to prove that, but that is what it's based on. So let's just go through some considerations, things for you to know. So don't forget, the new home sales rep represents the builder and the builder only. They are not giving your client a special deal. They make a deal with everyone, and they get paid based on the sales price. So they are motivated for that sales price to be high. I know what they're going to say. They're going to say, hey, listen, we had a deal 2 weeks ago and I'm willing to extend it to you because you're so amazing. I'm going to let you have it, whoop, whoop, because you're so special. No, that's not what's happening, right? Be aware that you have no way of knowing if your client is paying more or less than the person who was in there right before them. So very interesting for you to just get in that place of not being sold by the builder's rep, right? They are wonderful salespeople, all of them. They're the best of the best. They're warm, they're friendly, they love you, they invite you to happy hour, they make you cookies. Woo, who wouldn't love them? And I love them too, but that doesn't mean that they're giving me a deal. And then the other important thing is to always look at the builder's contract for these specific things. When do they lose their earnest money? When do they lose their upgrade money? So they're going to pay usually in cash up front for upgrades. When do they lose that money? When can they make any changes and how much will it cost? What will happen? Can the builder raise the price? Look for that escalation clause. And what happens if the closing is delayed? How long can it be delayed? Is there any responsibility for buyer's costs that the buyer may incur if there is a delay? All of that will be in that builder's contract, and we don't sit and read it at all. We feel some sort of obligation to eat a cookie, get a bottle of cold water, and sign some docs and be friendly, and we don't actually sit and read the contract. So I want to recommend, since we do appear to be uncomfortable in general, sitting and reading a builder contract in front of people, let's stop by a couple of builders and read them in advance. Let's go to David Weekley. Let's go to Toll Brothers. Let's go to Highland. Let's go to Coventry. Let's read one of their contracts and look for these things specifically. So we'll have some idea where it is. How intelligent will we sound if we sit in any model home and say, well, on the weekly contract, it reads like this. Where's that addressed in your contract? How smart and valuable to your buyer would you be right at that moment? All right, and then do you know the differences between builders? So let them sell you. I think it should be when you're going just you to learn, right? Resist a sales pitch at the time you're with your client. So what is the energy rating? Will one home save them more money through the years than another? Are there differences in windows? Are there differences in health and safety ratings? Are there differences in appliances? So what is the year of the unused appliances, right? Where do they get them from? New model is not always, new construction can just mean unused. It doesn't mean the brand newest model. What about flooring and countertops in those secondary areas, the laundry room and the bath? Irrigation, sprinkler, is it front? Is it back? Is it full? Is it auto? Garage standard size, how big is it? How tall is it? What about a fence? What about outdoor living? Is it covered? Is it a gas grill hookup? What about internet? Oh my gosh, one of the most important things. Things like the width of the hallways, the width of the doorways, all of these things. Do you know any differences between builders? Do you have any idea what you're looking for? Because I promise you, when you walk in and they're giving you cold water and chocolate chip cookies and walking you through the home, you will get caught up in the sales pitch. You will. It's what they do as a profession. And then imagine how your buyer client is caught up in it. They've long ago forgotten that there's only one outlet in the garage. So when they plug in that sprinkler system, there's no other outlet in the garage. They've forgotten they wanted at least 2 outlets in the garage, right? They've forgotten that. They're just totally wowed by the decor and they're trying to look at the floor plan, trying to count cabinets, but they've certainly forgotten all of these details. All right, and then I love for you to do new construction inspections. Phase inspections happen at foundation, framing, and final. And that is such a value to your buyer client, and such a help to just make sure that that punch list is a good one. So at every walkthrough, and they'll do a walkthrough at about these times, they'll take blue tape and they'll put blue tape on everything that needs to be worked on, that needs to be touched up. And that last final walkthrough and final inspection are super important that you be there and that you be very helpful in asking questions and in noticing things like where the floorboards don't meet evenly, or where the wall has a big hump in it, or the texturing of the wall wasn't well done, or there's paint spilled everywhere. It's important that you be there. And then ask about the builder's warranty. The builder's warranty is not a given. You want to be sure it shows up at closing, registered with the home warranty company with a sticker. Really, now it's all digital, but you want to be sure it's official. And then put in your calendar to contact these new construction clients in 10 months and suggest that they have an inspection at that time, or gift them with an inspection at that time. That way they know exactly what to ask the builder to complete before their warranty expires. It's one of the best gifts you can give. Just the reminder is a gift. Don't let the warranty expire and then they find problems. Make sure you ask questions about the HOA. Is there a plan for the neighborhood to take it over from the developer? What are the costs likely to be? Are there any contingency funds in case that wall falls down? What's going on? And then, of course, right now, we're back to maybe some hope of a builder negotiating, maybe, but it's probably not on sales price. And honestly, we don't want it to be on sales price. This is part of how you can educate your buyer before you go. Some negotiating on sales price is okay, but if they're just negotiating with you on sales price, what that tells you is you have no idea what everyone else paid for their home. And when everyone else gets ready to resell, they'll be reselling at a different level than you want to resell at. So you want to be careful in a neighborhood where they're just negotiating that sales price. To me, some of the builders are better negotiated with because they won't budge much on sales price, maybe a little, but let's ask for things they want. So are the towel bars adequate? Where are they and how many? What about exterior lighting? Do they need more lighting in the back or the front? Outlets in the garage? Exterior faucets? Do they want that front room closed in as a home office? Do they want the back patio to be just a little bit larger? Know some questions to ask, know some things to ask for that are very easy for that builder to do. More towel bars is nothing for that builder. They've got them in a truck somewhere, and really it's nothing. And it would be an issue for your buyer. So learn some of these things that are easy to get done while the home's under construction and a big deal to get done later. The cost of your commission is more than earned back in value for the buyer. They do care about light switches, how many, where they are, outlets, towel bars, and they don't want to over upgrade for the neighborhood. So your knowledge can be very helpful to them. Knowing builder history and reputation, ask. So if you go to a Highland or a Coventry or some of the other builders, ask where's the best neighborhood that's all finished out, that's 3 years old for me to go look at, right? Because builders control the neighborhood value until they are finished. And make sure you and your client are Google searching about the builder. And then what do you know about the different areas? Floodplains, plans for interstates, commercial construction coming in the backyard. Are there school zones changing? What can you learn about the areas that you most often visit new construction? And then walkthroughs and punch lists, you must be present to win. That's what I said. It's so important that you be there, because you need to assure that everything is written down and agreed upon at walkthroughs, not just a nice conversation about the weather. You want to use that blue tape and put it everywhere. And then appraisals, title policies, associated lenders. Usually the builder is going to offer tremendous incentives to use all of their services, and it usually is a good financial deal. However, if it doesn't appear to be a good financial deal, you can push, because it is a violation of RESPA, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau does care. So at some point, if it isn't a genuine incentive, if it isn't genuinely cheaper, then you can push to use some of your own providers. Know that builders don't typically pay for title policy, so you would want to negotiate that before you go under contract. And then beware of rate lock. Oh, that has been a big problem lately, and it will be a big problem going forward potentially. Missing delivery dates is a common complaint, right? Very common. They don't close on time. So remember that very first slide told you about when things ought to be happening, and you ought to be able to judge how you're doing yourself, not just what does the builder rep tell you, but you should have some idea. And then your regular check-ins will help avoid surprises. Send the client a pic when you go by, just and text, right? And then if they miss a closing date, will the builder and their lender, because you're probably with their lender, agree to fund a rate lock extension? Lately, the answer has been no, because they just as soon you not buy the home and they'll sell it to somebody else for more. So this is a conversation you need to have upfront, and make sure that that rate lock is long enough to get all the way to closing. And then thinking about challenges and delays in advance. People get mad when they're surprised. If they're not surprised, they'll work with you at a much higher level. So custom orders are a problem right now. It's a problem with delivery. It's a problem with cost, all those things. And then blueprint chaos. Make sure that the on-site crew is working from the same version that your buyer is expecting. It's okay to look at it. I love this sentence. You are the professional, so yes, you can, right? You can ask to see what blueprint are they working from. The construction schedule, is there one? Read the construction buyer agreement. Impact on buyer financing. The builder does make mistakes, right? A correction of a mistake is not an addendum or a change order. A mistake is a mistake, and it's okay to hold them to the original contract even once a mistake is made. And you can complain about builders to the Federal Trade Commission, to the Better Business Bureau, and to texasbuilders.org. It is possible to complain about them, even though they're not really licensed in Texas, and it is sort of a problem. All right. Any addendums should be presented, examined, and re-examined, because they can cost your client thousands. Builders know they can sell the home for more, and they're attempting to do just that. Be aware that if your client goes online and does a virtual tour or requests floor plans prior to you taking them and registering them, you can be disqualified for commission. They will claim that instead of you being the source of the sale, that their website was the source of the sale. So be careful. If your client changes their financing or their terms, they'll cancel the contract, or they'll attempt to lower your commission. Anytime there's a change in contract, they may try to kick you out or kick the buyer out. Either one can happen. And then things like if your client is selling a darling home and buying a darling home, if they love their darling home or they love their D.R. Horton home, that can disqualify you as the reason the client is choosing their new home. So they can come back later and say, oh no, they're already a darling customer. You don't get paid for that. So understand that no matter how friendly they are and how glad they are to see you, that kind of still today, our environment is such that they are not wanting to pay you commission, right? And they certainly do not want a good buyer's rep that's going to be helpful to the buyer and be present for the buyer. They'd much rather just rush on through and get it done, no matter what. All right. We do have 2 new home contracts promulgated by TREC. They are buyer friendly, not seller friendly. So you will not find really much new construction that uses these, but if you can, it's a wonderful thing. It is wonderful protection for your buyer, if they will. All right. And then our next broker chat is on August 29th, and we're going to talk about inspection, repair amendments, all that. I am sending this in. So Rachel and Tori will both have a copy of this if you want the presentation. And I just want to be sure that I tell you how important you are in new construction, right? They are peeing in that bathtub. Yes, they are. The water is not on, so they can't flush the toilet. They can't use it. So they're peeing in the bathtub. It is a new construction thing. Yes, they are. You want to look for it. I'm sorry, that McDonald's bag in the wall or whatever, they'll just seal that up right on in there. And your client will move in and have roaches and rats and not understand why. And the answer they'll get is, well, it's new construction, you know, all those varmints are moving. No, all those varmints are moving to your house because they sealed that crap up in the wall. If you don't know these stories, you can borrow mine. You can borrow stories from others there in your office who have been in new construction. It is not the truth that new construction is just the same, whether you have a buyer rep or a representative on your team or not. It's not the truth. It is far better to have someone that is regularly checking, someone that is willing to ask the questions, someone who on a walkthrough stays focused on the task at hand. Not the weather, not how the supply chains, not chitter chatter, but on the condition of the home right now today. So I most particularly hope that you will all make sure that you know enough about this timing, so that you can keep up with how the timing is going. This is the biggest issue in new construction. And it is how we end up with pricing differences, what our buyer was expecting to pay and what now they're being expected to pay. If we stay on time and stay on track, much more likely to close happily and at the price we're expecting. So, all right, that's new construction, you guys. I'm sorry to not be there live, but with Mega Camp Monday also being Monsoon Monday, I am uncertain where I'll be right at this time. So hopefully this was great for you and you will have some great conversation about it. All right, take care.